Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Now if this is your first time of joining me, please subscribe and like and also share with your friends, family, anybody that needs to be encouraged. Now my channel is about grief and going through grief, finding the strength to move forward, and my personal experience with dealing with grief, with the loss of my husband. Now if you had seen my previous video, it's just an introduction of things I have felt, what I have done to actually be encouraged, not to give up on myself, to live life and trying to be happy regardless of the difficult situation that has befallen me, I guess. Yeah, so today I am going to be talking about the stages of grief. Typically, there are 5 stages of grief. There is denial and shock, anger, guilt, depression, and acceptance. They can follow in that sequence or they can mismatch depending. I guess everybody handles it a bit different and everybody experiences grief a little different. So, and there are times where you actually think that you've gone past the stage and down the line you see yourself back there. So it depends. Um, so the first for me was denial and shock, and I actually think that's the first for everybody, based on you just can't believe that your loved one had passed. Now I remember when I was in the hospital and when the doctors called me, and the first thing I asked was like, okay, how is my husband doing? Because I was expecting good news. I was expecting that they would tell me, okay, he's in recovery room and he was going to be okay, but the doctors asked me to sit down and I'm like, I don't want to sit. Tell me where my husband is he okay? And the doctor was like, my husband was a strong man. And I'm like, okay, I know he's a strong man. Where is he? And they had to explain to me the procedure that happened and how he had multiple cardiac arrests and he didn't survive. And I remember all I could say was that nope, this cannot be happening. It's not possible. It's not possible that my husband is dead. It's not possible. Like, what are you telling me? It's not possible. It's not possible that my husband is dead. And I remember screaming and shouting and crying, and I remember when they took me to him and I saw him and I was crying and I begged him to wake up. Like, you can't leave me. You can't leave me. Why is this happening? How are you dead? Like, it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. And I prayed and I cried to God and I begged God, like, you have to bring him back. I don't know what you have to do. You have to bring him back. And he got me out of there. And for the next month, from the day they told me that he had passed till the day that he was actually buried, I kept holding on to the fact that God could perform a miracle for me, that my husband would wake up. I refused to accept the fact that my husband was dead. So my denial phase was pretty tough, in the sense that I wouldn't call it a bad thing that I was in denial. I just guess my brain couldn't just fathom the idea that my husband was really gone. So throughout that month, all I did was pray and cry to God and beg God that my husband would wake up. And I didn't care what people said. Like, oh yeah, people worried about me, my siblings worried about me, family worried about me, friends worried about me, but I didn't care. All I knew was that my husband would wake up. And then came the funeral. And my denial phase was so strong that I packed a couple of his casual clothes. I took like his jeans, his shirt, things that he would need, like, okay, when he wakes up, he will need to have his bath, he will need to get dressed. And I took those things with me. And he didn't wake up. And it dawned on me when they were putting him in the ground that I was never going to see him again. And then came anger. I was so mad. I was broken, but I was mad. I was mad at God. I was mad at my husband. I was mad at myself. I was mad at family. I had a lot of anger, especially towards my husband. I was really angry with him. And then I felt guilty for being angry with him. But I was angry with him in the sense that why would he leave me? Why would even even if God has said, yeah, my son, is your time to come, but why would he leave me? Why would he break his promises that we're going to spend the rest of our lives together? And I know that it doesn't make sense. I think about it a lot, and I know that being angry with him doesn't make sense because it wasn't his fault. What happened to him wasn't his fault. But at that point in time, I was mad. Like, I couldn't believe that he would just leave me. I felt abandoned by him, and it's something I had to deal with. The anger towards him. I had to actually forgive him for leaving. I had to forgive him for dying. And a lot of people might not understand what that is, but apparently it's a stage that you have to deal with, especially if you lose someone that is that close to you, somebody that is literally a part of you. I had to forgive him, and that was the only way I was able to get past that anger. I had to forgive him for leaving. I had to forgive myself for being angry at him. I had to forgive myself for feeling guilty that there wasn't anything I could do to save him. I had to forgive the doctors. I had to forgive family and friends, and I had to just forgive a lot of people that really honestly didn't have things to do with the situation, but I had a lot of anger, and the only way I could let go of the anger was to forgive. So I did. I forgave everybody, and I prayed a lot for grace, not to hold on to things that would cause me more pain than peace. I prayed for grace, like when I let things go, let me not go back to those things that have hurt me, those things that have caused me pain. So yeah, there were a lot of forgiveness, and honestly, during the entire grief process, it's something that you have to practice. You have to practice forgiving, because honestly, even till date, there is a lot of forgiving involved. Ultimately, there's a lot of forgiving involved, and okay, aside from the anger, I had to deal with guilt. The guilt that there was something I could have done to save him. I felt so guilty. I think that's one thing that almost wrecked me. That there was something I could have done, or if I had done more research, if I had asked more questions, if I had spoken to the doctors about certain things, probably he would still be alive today. But I got to understand that God is actually in charge, and if he wanted my husband to survive, he would still be here. So dealing with the guilt, I had to write a letter. Actually, the process that helped me was I had to write a letter to God. Now, it wasn't like a prayer, it was more like I'm writing a letter to God, and I'm writing a letter to my husband. And the letter simply said I was sorry. Like, I was sorry that things didn't work out. I was sorry that he died. I was sorry that there wasn't more I could do. And I asked God to forgive me. I asked my husband to forgive me. And after I did that, I was actually able to pass that guilt phase. And these are not easy decisions to make. They are not. They are really, really difficult. And there are decisions that you have to make a couple of times, because just because today I make up my mind that okay, I'm going to forgive everyone, doesn't mean tomorrow those angry feelings don't still come back. They do, and I have to forgive again and again and again, and I make that decision as much as I can, and eventually it becomes like a habit that before the thoughts even come, before the feelings even come, I already told myself I have forgiven this, I can let it go, and I actually do make the effort to let it go. It's not easy. It's really not. It takes conscious effort to actually be able to take these decisions and to actually put them into action. and to actually tell yourself that once you let something go, let it go. Do not go back to it. And the next is depression. I really didn't get depressed. Okay, I was depressed in a sense, but not too depressed, if there's a sense like that. I was sad. I was really sad, but I wouldn't say I was overly depressed, because I found a reason to always get up in the morning, to always do what I needed to do, to hang around family, to pray, to talk about what I was feeling, I guess. So I always did that. I always looked for things to cheer me up. I always looked for things to get me out of being sad. And that's another habit I created. Like anything that is going to cause me more pain than joy, I stay clear of it, because honestly, emotions are very fragile. And honestly, I can still say that right now, even at this moment, my emotions are still very fragile. So anything that is going to cause me more pain, I am not interested, please. And I make it a habit of always looking for the good things, always looking for things that make me smile, always looking for messages that encourage me, quotes that encourage me, Bible scriptures that encourage me, things that help me know that, okay, indeed, yes, I am going to survive this. I still have a good future ahead of me. I still have hope. Things like that. That is what I focus on, and it helped. It helped a lot. It actually helped a lot, because if you have something to look forward to, it makes it easier. I guess it makes it. When I say easier, yes, it does make it easier. It makes it easier not to focus on the pain, but rather look to something good that might happen in my life. Yeah, that's it. And then came acceptance, that this was my reality and I had to deal with it. The only way to go through grief is to actually go through it. There is no escaping it. There is no running away from it, because the more you try to hide from it or push it or just not handle it, it still comes to bite you one way or another. It still finds a way to creep around and make you deal with it. So I just figured that the earlier I dealt with it, the better for me. And honestly, I am better for it. I know that I am doing much better. I wouldn't say I am healed, but I am healing. I can actually see it. I see it every day, how I am able to talk to people and just have a laugh, and nobody can tell that, okay, I've actually been through this kind of trauma. And I like that. I like that when people see me, they're encouraged. I like that when people hear my story, they actually know that yes, it is possible to go through this kind of pain, to go through this kind of trauma, and still be able to be positive about it. Now, another thing I would like to reiterate about the stages of grief, that is that even if you think you've gone past a certain stage, remember the things you did to get past it. Remember the actions you took, the messages you listened to. Remember that, because guilt doesn't just go away in one instant just because you decide that, oh, I have prayed about it, I am letting it go. It takes a while. It might not take long, but it takes a while. So just because I decide today that, okay, God forgive me, my husband should forgive me, I forgive myself, doesn't mean that tomorrow I'm still not going to have those guilty feelings. I'm still not going to be angry. I'm still not going to be sad and depressed. So these are things that you should remember, like the actions you took, the messages you listened to. Like I have a lot of messages on my phone that I listen to like recurrently, because they help me, they put me in a good mood. When I get like thinking about my husband, and I'm thinking of things like especially the hospital experience. And sometimes sometimes you just have no control over what pops into your head. And sometimes I remember the hospital scene, I remember everything that went down, the 2 days there, and how scared I was, and I start feeling sad and depressed. And I remember a message that I listened to, and I go there immediately, and it just reminds me of why I made the decision to get better and how I have progressed. and it just lifts my spirit. And those are things that I feel people should try to focus on. Now I am going to put links to a couple of messages below so that you can actually listen to them, and it actually helps. It encourages people in ways that you can't even understand, but it really helps. It really helps. It really does. Now, one thing I am going to emphasize on is choice, because if you are going through this kind of pain and the grief process, I would want you to understand that the healing process starts with a choice. So you have to choose by yourself that you want to get better. You have to choose to want to listen to these messages. You have to choose to be able to look for and find the good things, and putting up a good attitude and looking for things that actually lifts your spirit and encourage you. You have to choose to do the work. It is a lot of work. It doesn't come easy. I say it because it's what I've experienced. I remember the week after my husband's funeral, I was miserable because I wasn't doing anything. I just woke up in the morning, dragged myself out of bed, and it was miserable. I was miserable, and I hated feeling that way. And I realized that I was miserable, and I picked myself up and I said to myself that no, I can't live like this. My husband wouldn't want me to live like this, and I actually took action. So you have to choose to take action in order for you to actually get better. Yes, it's not easy. It's really not. It's not. But I feel, at least from my own experience, the earlier you start actually handling and going through the process, the earlier it will be, or rather the earlier that you will start seeing the changes in your life. And you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe how free and how peaceful your spirit and your mind actually becomes, even your emotions. You find a way to actually handle difficult situations better. It's not easy. I know that it is not easy, but it will get better. It will. It will get better. So don't give up hope. Don't give up your actions. And please go to the links that I'm putting down below. Watch them. They will change your life. They have changed my life. So I know for a fact that they can change yours too. Another thing I would like to say is please respect people's grief processes. Not everybody is the same. The way I handle my grief is not the way somebody else would handle it. Somebody that was in my shoes would handle it. So respect people's grief processes. If they're upset, if they are doing things that make them comfortable, if they are doing things that, as long as they are not intentionally hurting themselves, leave them be. Leave them be, because you do not know the amount of strength or the amount of emotions that people actually have to deal with or overcome to actually try to perform day-to-day activities. So please respect people's grief. I'm saying this because a lot of people actually didn't understand where I was coming from, or didn't understand that I wasn't going to be a typical sad, depressed, wearing black kind of widow. My sister hates it when I use that word, but oh well. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to be depressed. I wasn't going to let my suffering be on my surface. I wasn't going to do that. Yes, I was going through something devastating, but I already made up my mind that I am going to go through it with God by my side. I'm going to go through it with hope in front of me. I am not going to be sad and depressed and or grumbling. And I guess it doesn't work with what society thinks a widow should do. But like I said, respect people's grief processes. If there are people out there that want to lock themselves indoor for a couple of months, leave them be. If there are people that want to heal and go out and do things that actually put them in a good mood or encourage themselves, leave them be. Leave them be. And we just hope and pray and the best we can do is just advise and show them, even if they are going in the wrong direction, just show them the right path to take and hope that they actually take it. But you cannot enforce your ideas of what grief should be on someone else. You just can't. You just can't. So that's all I have to discuss today. My next video is going to be about restructuring and finding yourself. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe, like the video, also drop a comment, and please share to anyone who you think is having a tough time, and hope they will be encouraged also. So thank you for watching. Bye.